Remembering those who died in the September the 11th attacks 20 years on. Memorial services are being held at Ground Zero in New York and at the site of the two other crashes.
Saria Rachel Emma Clark.
Neil James Cudmore.
The silence, punctuated by the long list of names of the dead, read out amid scenes of grief, as a precedent at the time summed up the thoughts of the nation.
These Americans were brave, strong, and united in ways that shocked the terrorists, but should not surprise any of us. This is the nation we know.
Here, the 67 Britons who died are also remembered.
You can't prepare for it, you just kind of deal with it how you deal with it on that particular year, and however much it kind of decides to hurt more or less.
Also tonight, can she really do it? Raducanu prepares for the biggest match of her short career, the US Open final.
This is ITV News with Gamal Fahnbulleh.
Good evening. 20 years ago today, amid scenes of almost unimaginable horror, close to 3,000 people died during the September the 11th terror attacks. 2 planes crashed into the Twin Towers of the World Trade Center in New York. Another struck the Pentagon, and the 4th crashed in a field in Pennsylvania when passengers fought back. Today, all those who perished were remembered in sombre memorial services across America and also here in the UK. 67 of the victims were British. The Queen said her thoughts and prayers were with the victims, the survivors, and all the families who've been affected. From New York, our US correspondent, Emma Murphy, reports.
Under a sky as cloudless as 20 years ago, to the strains of the drums and pipes, America remembered. Those for whom today means more than a day in global history held aloft the images of those who they loved in life and love now in loss.
Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light?
The land of the free, pausing to remember the freedoms attacked at 8:46 when the first plane hit the World Trade Center. The political elite of then and now led this nation in its grief. But this was not a day for them.
Saria Rachel Emma Clark.
Neil James Cudmore.
And my brother, Vladimir Savinkin. Vladik, we all love and miss you so much.
20 years feels like an eternity, but yet it still feels like yesterday. Until we meet again, my love, rest in peace.
I know you're with us every day watching over us, and even though I never met you in person, I still miss you a lot.
At 9:03, a second toll of the bell marked the moment the second plane hit the South Tower. At 9:37 in New York and in Washington, D.C., silence for the moment the third plane hit the Pentagon.
Amazing grace.
Sergeant First Class Jose O. Calderon Olmedo, United States Army.
The flag of the nation unfurled in honor of all of those who lost their lives as the nation came under attack as never before. At 9:59, a fourth toll marked the moment the South Tower fell. 4 minutes later in New York and Shanksville, Pennsylvania, where Flight 93 was downed, words from the man who was Commander-in-Chief that day.
The world was loud with carnage and sirens, and then quiet with missing voices that would never be heard again. These lives remain precious to our country and infinitely precious to many of you.
At 10:28, the toll of the bell was for the moment the North Tower fell.
Erwin L. Erker.
William John Irwin.
The world won't hear these names every day, but they are etched in history and in the hearts of those who will mourn long after the ceremony's end.
God bless America.
Emma Murphy reporting from New York. While there were similar scenes here too, as the 67 Britons who died were also remembered. The Queen led the tributes with a message that her thoughts and prayers were with the victims, the survivors and all the families who've been affected. Carl Dinnan has more.
For so many 9/11 families, there is no grave, no headstone, just a name on a plaque. For the families of the British victims, that plaque is in Grosvenor Square in London. Godwin Ford was a security guard in the South Tower. His daughter had just joined him in New York, and after years apart, his son was just about to.
Just to be reunited with him after a long period of time, you can only be ecstatic about it.
You must have had a lot of plans for your own life that have been taken away from you by this.
Yeah, I was angry for a long time. Still to this day it hurts.
So every anniversary is hard.
You can't prepare for it, you just kind of deal with it how you deal with it on that particular year, and however much it kind of decides to hurt more or less or the same.
At the Olympic Park there is another memorial, one of the few pieces of the World Trade Center to have been sent overseas. Here there was a service for those who made it out.
And if I can be really indulgent, can I please ask that you spare a thought for all the survivors? Because we're still struggling.
And more families of those who did not. Michael Egan from Hull had been in the South Tower.
My mother was able to receive a call from my dad that day, and he called her and said, "I'm not making it out. Kiss the boys. I love you. We've tried to get to the roof, but we can't." And shortly after, my mom was on the phone. While she was on the phone with him, the building collapsed.
The Queen sent a message saying, "My thoughts and prayers and those of my family and the entire nation remain with the victims, survivors and families affected, as well as the first responders and rescue workers called to duty." And as a Star-Spangled Banner at Windsor Castle. Carl Dinnan, ITV News.
Well, let's return now to Emma in New York. And Emma, heartbreaking scenes there again today.
Indeed so. They started reading the names this morning at 8:49. They finished at 12:50. And in reality, they are not all the names. Many have died since of illnesses contracted here on the day. But of course, it was the day that triggered the war on terror. So to those names we've heard already, you can add the names of British and American service personnel and also civilians in Iraq and Afghanistan. The legacy of what happened here 20
Good
years
morning.
ago, just like
The day after at least
will go on for many, many
At least 90
more
people were killed in...
OK, Emma in New York, thank you. To other news now, and more than 2 tons of cocaine worth around £160
in those who catch COVID
seized off the coast of Plymouth. 6 men were arrested after the drugs were discovered on a luxury yacht. Officers from Border Force and the National Crime Agency intercepted the boat around 80 miles out to sea in international waters. Now, in less than 3 hours from now, Britain's teenage tennis sensation Emma Raducanu will walk onto court for the biggest match of her short career. Win and she'll make history, the first person ever to qualify and go on to win a Grand Slam tournament. Her opponent is no pushover, but the omens are good. She's beaten her in the past. As Robert Moore reports from Flushing Meadows, the battle of the teenagers has divided the fans there.
The last time that Emma Raducanu walked onto Arthur Ashe Stadium was on Thursday. A superlative performance to win the semi-final here.
Wow, what a volley.
Now in just a few hours' time, ready physically and emotionally for the matchup that no one even contemplated. For she is playing another teenager, and unlikely one of the most intriguing questions today is which teenager the crowd will root for.
And the crowd is going to be divided?
Absolutely.
Oh, yes, absolutely. 50-50.
But the crowd, like me, will be thrilled for either one who wins, because it'll be a fabulous tennis match, either way.
Raducanu and Fernandez have played before, as juniors in Wimbledon 3 years ago. And the winner that time was Emma. Now the stakes are significantly higher. What a moment this is for British tennis.
Give her a run for her money, but
So, Roberts, high expectations there. What's the atmosphere like?
Well, inside the Arthur Ashe Stadium behind me, a real sense of building excitement and anticipation for what is undoubtedly the most sort of unpredicted, unheralded final matchup in Grand Slam tennis history. Remember that Emma Raducanu has already made history, becoming the first qualifier to get this far in a major tournament. We've been speaking to someone who's in her camp, and he described Emma this morning as not just being calm, but being joyous, being happy, being cheerful, apparently unaffected by the pressure that is building all around her, suggesting that the brand of fearless tennis that has taken her this far can continue. And I think looking at these two teenage stars, I think there is a growing consensus before a ball has even been struck that the winner is going to be women's tennis.
OK, Robert, thank you. Well, here in the Premier League, Tottenham's winning start to the season came to a shuddering halt today. After 3 straight wins, Spurs crashed to a 3-0 defeat against Crystal Palace, who hadn't won before today. And finally, it was like he'd never left. Cristiano Ronaldo has capped his return to Manchester United with not 1, but 2 goals against Newcastle. He was greeted like a returning hero by the 78,000 fans inside Old Trafford as United won 4-1. Toby Sadler reports.
Cristiano Ronaldo's back, and the fans couldn't be happier.
Yeah, very excited. I couldn't sleep last night. I've been looking forward for the past few weeks. So just like, for me, it's my hero in that sense, inspires me.
Now he's an out-and-out goal scorer. He's a pure winner. And that's what we need in this football club, a pure winner.
I think there are a lot of people who are jealous out there. A lot of pundits always keep on talking about his age, he's 36, because they know ultimately there is a man who's coming behind this team to push them.
But he's not a normal 36-year-old, is he?
Definitely. Tell you what, I'm 35. If I look like that when I'm 36, I'll be happy.
It's loyalty rewarded. Ronaldo scored twice as Manchester United beat Newcastle 4-1, carrying on from where he left off. Ronaldo was just 18 when he first joined Manchester United in 2003. He was the most expensive teenager in English football. When he left 6 years later, he was a global superstar, commanding a world record transfer fee from Real Madrid. But now he's back, winning for the club even before the match. It's reported shirt sales alone have covered his transfer fee. On signing, Ronaldo said, "I'm not on vacation, I'm here to win." So far, so good. Toby Sadler, ITV News.
And that's it. I'll be back with the late news at 10:20. Until then, have a very good evening. Bye-bye.